Alright, here is the video review for Transformers Studio Series ARCEE from the Bumblebee movie, on the shelf at the same time as I also saw the Studio Series 86 ARCEE on the shelf from the Transformers 86 movie. But this is, I like this design better. I really like this motorcycle mode, this little futuristic roly-poly thing. The front wheels, just the inner part spins, and this little notch is important. We'll talk about that later. But I just really like it. It looks kind of like a little Tron cycle a little bit. It's got wheels back here. And he rolls, and I just, like I said, I just thought it looked cool, and I wanted this version of ARCEE. It's actually a really fun little toy. This is the other Bumblebee movie figure that I could easily get to and find very quickly. So he's not snapped together all the way. Snapped together. Proper. Why is your foot? There we go. All right, anyway. Let's go back on. But here's Wheeljack, just as a size comparison. Just to give you an idea of how they look together. Because they're both Cybertronian mode vehicles. And they're about the same length, although you can see RC's a little skinnier. But that's fine. Now, I will say, these wheels peg together on the feet. And it turns out part of my issue was I was having some trouble getting it to peg together. Other people have said that they'll tab together, but it's kind of janky and it doesn't 100% work all the time, so I don't feel so bad. But also part of it was, for some reason, this pin here, it doesn't look off-center. Like, it's not going in at a very obvious angle, but there's something about how this piece, this little flippy ankle piece, which I'll show off in a minute, is pinned in, that it sits, instead of sitting straight like this, it sits just a smidge off to, and it's not much, just a smidge off of straight. And when you do that, you have to kind of twist this leg a little bit more to plug these in, but then that messes with all the tabs and pegs up here because you're turning this thigh in, so it automatically wants to kind of pull away from the front wheel. I fixed it because what I did was I put a little tiny, teeny dab of super glue on the little tabs here, and then held it together for just a second, pulled them apart, let it dry for a couple hours, and that thickened the pegs and tightened them up, and now it holds together actually pretty well with everything tabbed in. Do it at your own risk. It is super glue. You could probably do the same thing with floor polish, but because of the way it's just kind of friction held together, that floor polish is going to wear thin very quickly. But yeah, a neat little cool cyber cycle that I like. Now there is a fan mode here for her alt mode, in which you just kind of, it looks like you just untab these and kind of fold the arms up. She just has little wheels back here, and then, like I said, the center of these wheels roll when she's in cycle mode. Now, everything I've seen shows these still pegged together, although you can, if you want to, you can untab these bits and lift them up a little higher for a little bit more dynamic display. But folds those up and then takes the legs and bends them up and around, kind of like this, and turns it into kind of a fan-made hover cycle mode, which actually looks pretty cool as a hover cycle. It's not super secure because everything's just kind of holding on. Nothing's tabbed in aside from these little panels up here on the arms. But it actually holds together pretty securely. It's not hard to bump things out of place, but kind of a neat little hovercraft mode if you wanted to go that route. Like I said, you can see a little bit still of the residue of the super glue on these pegs here, but not super obvious. You can kind of buff that up, the egregious edges, but that just really helps. You can see now it helps snap these leg pieces together and hold them together tightly in that mode. Because you can see, I don't know if you can. It's hard. Again, it's so slight, it's hard to tell. But when they're facing forward, this foot just has it's just twisted. Like if you looked at it from, can you tell here? You can see how they're both kind of at the same angle. This wheel right here is kind of tilted in a smidge, and this one's tilted at the same angle when it should be a little bit more like that before we straighten the legs out. But oh well. It doesn't really affect anything in robot mode, but it was causing, just that slight twist in this piece was causing those to not tab together. So if you have that issue, there's a fix. Or if they're tabbing together but they're loose, again, floor polish on each of the tabs, a little bit of super glue will do it. Just make sure you put it together, leave it for just a couple of seconds so it kind of gets sticky, and then pop it apart, and then just leave it alone and don't touch it for a couple of hours, because you want to make sure that glue completely dries, because if you have a little bit of non-dry glue in there and you put it back together and forget about it, it will glue them together. Anyway, I feel like at this point we all know how to do the super glue fix, floor polish fix, and all that. Anyway, bring her waist down. We'll go ahead, untab the, fold the feet out, and then you kind of pull this out on this, rotate them around. There's a little tab, and it has a slot on each side for whichever mode, but you tab this in. And you also, this is where this is important, this little groove in the wheel, this little white piece on the foot, you need to lock that in, because if you don't have that lined up, it won't compress back against this piece very easily. You see, there's the tab here. Open it up, flip it around, and again, if you just try to push this back onto this post, if you don't do it all the way, it won't fit all the way up into the ankle well as easily as it should, and also this won't compress back onto that post unless you rotate this all the way around. You can see there's a little tab inside there that slots into this fin there. And now the foot will sit flat with some ankle tilt there. So the wheels become heels. Wheels become heels. Also, you can unpeg these and kind of give her some chicken legs if you want. And apparently the instructions say, specifically say, latch these back into place when going to alt mode. And you can put them at any angle. You can actually have her stand with these latched all the way in, but you're supposed to untap them, so we're going to, because that's what the rules say. You don't have to follow the rules, just word of advice, but for the official video review, we're following the rules. So yeah, there's her legs. And up here, I'm going to twist her legs around to the front. Her arms just come down. You can even leave the pistols in there. You just kind of rotate them as you flip the wrist is right here. You just kind of flip it out, rotate the pistol, and she doesn't even have to let go of her guns for her to transform. And then this piece comes up and around. Actually, lift this up, pop her head up, and then there's a whole bunch of pieces here. Once the head's up, you can lift that up. This folds down onto her back, and then there's a little, there you go, like this, kind of collapse that spine piece. Make sure this comes in, and there is a little bit of a tab. It doesn't hold very well. Again, a little bit of floor polish or something on this little tab right here would help it hold together a little better. But lock all that together. There's her backpack. And then these you can kind of position however you want. There's a ball joint right here, and there's also even a swivel hinge right here. That seems like that's just more of a convenience for wanting to have this to be pink plastic and it's an easy attachment point. But it does give you the ability, you can fold these flat against her back if you wanted to have more kind of ARCEE hovery shoulder bits. You can angle them however you want. Also, like I said, she can hold her two little twin pistols here. Like I said, that tab's a little loose. But you can also, there's a little square peg that goes, it actually doesn't go all the way through, but it's on each side of the pistol. And you can store her pistols on these if you don't want her to be holding them. But because of all the joints and everything up in there, that does give you the option of she can kind of bring up some shoulder cannons if you wish, using those pistols attached there. You don't have to do it. I'm just saying it's an option. But yeah, a lot of pictures. She comes packaged with these flared out, and I wasn't sure how I liked the flared out, like completely flared out. But the fact that you can kind of fold those around into a much more compact backpack is very cool. I like the design. Like I said, her face is a little bit more alien looking than traditional ARCEE figures, but I mean it's fairly accurate to the movie. And it's like I said, it's a really fun little alt mode, and a nice little version of ARCEE here in robot mode as well. It's clearly ARCEE while still maintaining some of that Bumblebee movie live action aesthetic, which is nice. Now she's got a ball joint at the neck, swivel hinges at the shoulders in both directions, bicep swivel, elbow. You can actually even bend, kind of has a double elbow there, even though you don't actually use that for transformation. And then a hinge at the wrist, but no wrist swivel. Waist swivel, dual direction, hit a ball joint at the hip, actually with a thigh swivel just below that. You got single knee, and then you got a little bit of articulation there, as well as the ankle tilt at the foot, plus the ball joint and the swivel hinge on the backpack bits. Here she is in robot mode with Wheeljack, and again, Very nice representations of that Bumblebee movie design cues. And yeah, it's a fun little RC. Wasn't planning on picking it up, and then I just kept seeing pictures of her in alt mode, and I really, really wanted... the motorcycle just looked really cool, and I really wanted to mess around with it. So I saw it at Walmart, picked it up. But there is Studio Series RC from Bumblebee, and it's pretty cool.